The last thing, because I won't dedicate a session to the word ilah, I'll share it with you now. In the phrase, La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Some of our scholars believed that the word Allah comes from the word ilah. Like they're connected to each other. But there are other scholars that make very good argument that the word ilah is separate and the word Allah is separate. They're two separate things. Meaning the word Allah is the original name of Allah. It's غير mushtaq. It doesn't go back to anything. It's the original name of Allah in all of the scriptures from before, regardless of language. That is the original name of Allah. You can't even find a definition or a translation for it. But then what about the word ilah? What about the word ilah? When we say la ilaha illallah, and your English translation say there's no God except Allah, or there's no one worthy of worship except Allah. You've heard these translations before. I just wanted to give you an appreciation of what you and I are saying, not just in Bismillah, but also in La ilaha illallah, very briefly, just on the word ilah. And I'll conclude for the day, inshaAllah ta'ala. The first thing I want you to know is alaha in Arabic also means to worship. And so ilah actually means there's no possibility of anyone to be worshipped except Allah. That's a good translation. That's a fair translation. But aliha also in Arabic means faza'a ilayhi or wuli'a bihi. What that means is when someone is desperate and they don't know who to turn to. Like if, for example, if there's a knock on the door or there's somebody trying to break a window and you immediately, who do you call first? Do you call the authorities? Do you ring the alarm? That first alarm that you do in a time of desperation, that's actually faza'a ilayhi or aliha ilayhi. In other words, when we are at our most desperate moments, when we think that we are completely alone and nobody can help us, there is no one to turn to except Allah. There's no possibility of anyone that we can ever turn to except Allah. And that's captured inside the words, La ilaha illallah. He says, wuli'a bihi. To be obsessed with someone, to be in need of someone, to feel like you cannot do without them. They call this in psychology a dependency. I can't, if someone feels I can't be alone, I need to have someone with me. That's actually Allah. When someone has Allah with them, they're never alone. Kalla inna ma'iya rabbi sayahdini, Musa says, alayhi salam. My Rabb is with me, He'll guide me. A person who feels that the loneliness can be the scariest, loneliness can be the most painful experience, and Allah takes that away from us, loneliness away from us, because He says, doesn't matter if the people leave you, doesn't matter if your family leaves you, doesn't matter if your friends leave you, doesn't matter if society abandons you. But when you have La ilaha illallah, you'll never be alone. You have Allah to turn to. And so finally, I share with you something so beautiful about the word ilah. It was in Texas many years ago that a missionary I was speaking to, I happened to meet him on a flight. He came to me and told me, our God is love. But your God, He's not love. Because Jesus is love. And I said, where did you learn that our God is not love? You have Allah. And you have ilah, but you don't have love, And I said, okay, well, I could show him, وَهُوَ الْغَفُورُ الْوَدُودُ. Quran says Allah is extremely loving. He says that. But even in the word ilah, what people don't know, the Arabs are really a remarkable people. The ancient Arabs used to have 14 different words for love. How many did I say? 14 different words for love. Like it's like 14 different kinds of virus. Which one is he infected with? And so for each one of them, they had a description. So they would have al-hawa, al-subuwa, al-shaghaf, al-wajd, al-kilf, al-ishq, al-najwa, al-shawq, al-wasab, al-istikana, al-wud, al-ishra. And then towards the end, they have two more, al-walah and al-hiyam. The last one, number 14, is when love kills you. Number 14 is the kind of love that you I'm just dead. Okay? The love that kills. And you don't wish that on anyone. But the one before that is actually called al-wala. And al-wala is a kind of love, they describe it, يُعَبَّرُ عَنْ غِيَابِ السَّعَادَةِ بِغِيَابِ الْمَحْبُوبِ. They say, when the one you love isn't there, you can't be happy. That love, that when they're there, you're happy, and when they're not there, you can't be happy. And the word for that in Arabic is wala. And wala is argued by many grammarians as the origin of the word ilah. From wilah, it actually becomes muqallab, the waw became alif and became ilah. In other words, there is no genuine love and there's no real happiness in life that a human being can find with Allah absent from their heart. Happiness cannot exist. Joy cannot exist. Love cannot exist without Allah in the heart. That's part of the meaning of La ilaha illallah. And that's the Allah we're calling on when we say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. How often we think of Allah as the one who punishes and the one who's going to get you. I mean, we teach kids that. It's so scary. We teach our children things like, don't eat that cookie. Allah's going to be very angry. And I can guarantee you, if that child died, Allah will not be angry and not ask him about a cookie. I can guarantee you. Allah, you're angry. Allah isn't angry with a child. Not over any cookies. They're ma'soom. They're not going to be questioned about what they do. But we teach people early on, even Muslims teach Muslims early on that Allah is angry or Allah will punish or Allah is watching and you better watch out and you better fear Allah. Yes, fearing Allah is part of the equation. But where does Quran begin with? Does Quran begin with scaring us about Allah or making us love the one who gave us this life? Making us fall in love with Him and making us feel like we will always be alone without Him. There are people that are literally afraid to turn to Allah because they're too scared to remember Him. Our fear should be overrun by our love for Him and our desperation for Him. And I pray that this is the month that you and I find that love, that genuine love for Allah Azza wa Jal. That when we call on Allah's name and we say Bismillah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, that we recognize how much Allah is giving us out of His love. How much He's taking care of us. How many of His names are being utilized by us and we don't even know. We don't even know. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us a people who say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim with their tongues and they also say it with their hearts. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikr al-Hakim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.